Hello, everyone, and good evening, and thank you for joining in for another session of Let's Hatch It Out. Um, Let's Hatch It Out is a series where we bring in different individuals from the corporate world, and they share information around their expertise and something that's been happening, in the economy, both nationally and globally. For today's session, we have Ms. Eleonore Wall with us. She is the CEO of Biz4D. Biz4D is a company that has developed a software that helps candidates with mentoring within an organization. She has also been recruiting software developers remotely globally, and she's also the member of National Board of German's Business Network since 2018. She started her company in 2010. Before we start off with our conversation, let me just give you a brief background on what the conversation would be about. So what's happening here in Pakistan is that we see that inflation is on a rise. There's some political instability, but the country has a large youth population. 60% of our population is below 28, which means that we are a youth focused country. So what's happening elsewhere? Countries like Australia, Germany, and some other countries in the European region, all of them have reported that there's a skill shortage, and they're increasing the immigration cap. Like Australia moved their number from 35,000 to 168,000 per annum, simply because of the skilled labor shortage. So what's happening is that these countries are low in youth, which is why there's a skill issue. And adding on to that, COVID has had another impact on that. So countries like Pakistan are sort of feeding into all of these demands into these countries. So people move out, especially people who are highly skilled in certain areas, which are even rarer in these countries. So having said that, I'll hand over to you, Eleonore, to talk a bit about what is happening globally. What's your view in the skill shortage and the impact of COVID, or maybe something else? So we'd love to know your view on this also.
Thank you so much, Ali, and it's really great pleasure meeting you, all of you. And it's fascinating how easy it become to connect and have these conversations across the globe. So it's really beautiful. So greetings to Pakistan, everybody. So speaking of skill shortages, I've asked me this question. I don't believe that globally we have a skills shortage, actually. So, but I like to compare it with a picture. I have something prepared here. So what is happening, let me say, is there is skill pyramids or mountains. Yeah. So each and mostly these happen within language unions, I would say. There's like English language. So English has actually a pretty high skill. So we have a abundance of talent like never before, if I may say. We have, but depending on the community you are in, right? You may be here, right? And then the top that you can get here on the right-hand side is just this much. So you can be the best in the country, but the peak that you achieve is just as high, just because of the size of the mountain, of the skill mountain, because you can always only rise to the top of the mountain that you're standing on. And if you want to get higher, you need to change the mountain. And so we have almost like globally, let's say a few mountains, or we have many mountains. Each community has their own. And then obviously we have China is a huge mountain, if I may say, right, which is vastly independent even from the rest of the globe. And then we have, of course, the English speaking, let's say, mountain. We have the French speaking, we have maybe the Spanish, and obviously there's somewhere is also the German mountain. And so each of them plays but what I'm trying to say is maybe in the past we had thousands of mountains, or even each village had their own. Yeah, so you could be the big boss in your own village and have a very happy life. Now you can't play, especially not with technological issues on the village level anymore. You, especially when it comes to technology, we are all global players, each of us. Yeah, it's just like in football. It's almost, do you watch your own village compete? No, you went watch the Champions League, you watch the World Cup. So if you want to be, respected as a football player, you only can play in one of the world um, clubs, and that's it. So that means we don't have like a landscape of thousands and thousands little mountains, but the mountains are consolidating and raising in height, right, inside of each, let's say, community, language, and so forth. And so as it's true with football, it's true with software development. If the phone that you're using is probably not that much different from the phone that we are using here. So there's so much choices. You have Microsoft, you have Apple, you have Android, and maybe a bit, but that's it, right? So you're either a top player or irrelevant. And this is a bit of a new development. So even though we have a much higher supply of talent, but the peak to play at the global level is constantly raising. Yeah, so the qualification and skills that you need to still contribute at the cutting edge, of any of these mountains is vastly increasing, just because of the mergings of the mountains, if you wish, and into less but taller ones.
All right, that makes actually a lot of sense. So if I now move to where you are, so how is the landscape there? Is it something similar? What are some of the issues that maybe the employers face? If you can shed some light on Germany.
Yeah, so there's two things. So first of all, obviously Germany has lots of global players in their respective fields, companies who can be global player for a certain cable type, or for a certain engine type, or for a certain light type, or whatever. So, and these players each compete on a global scale for the best in the industry. So we have two points. We have, of course, as you already mentioned, an aging population, so lack of young talent. So that's one reason why companies are recruiting. And also the other thing, if I may say, the recruitment in Germany still has sometimes the image of the 70s, where Germany has been recruiting blue collar. And what we see with applicants, and that's from my experience, people still think when they apply in a German company, they are cheap labor. And they don't understand why the demand on their skills is so high. And they don't fully understand that it's the Real Madrid and Bayern Munich clubs that are recruiting. And that's the expectancy. So people kind of come in with, let's say, blue collar attitude. Yeah, you expect me to clean the table and I'll be cheap. No, we expect you to run the restaurant and you're expensive. And even to German standard, you're going to be, compared to other Germans, you're going to be expensive. And that's why not only your technical skills, but ethical, personal behavior, and so forth plays such a role, because you're actually expected to be a role model for others. And that's what especially technical people still don't fully have full transparency about.
All right, I think that creates a bit of visibility around what's happening when people migrate to Germany. And then, so what do you think would be a possible solution for this? I mean, changing your attitude is going to take a lot of time, but at least get to know about the issues. I think if you recognize the problem I think that's when the solution or part of the solution, starts. Yeah.
Yes. So together with a partner who is recruiting for the German companies, we have developed a course because also he's telling the stories how frustrated he is. Yeah, he has the job openings from the sides of the companies. And there is the skills and talents across the globe, and still we can't match very often. And a lot has to do not with technical skills, but with attitude. And so this is why we developed a course, or let me say, attitudes maybe too simple. Let me just quickly use the football game again. So like the people with a technology background, and I'm an engineer myself, so I can fully empathize with that. I'm good, and if you look at a football player, he thinks of like the speed of running, the technical ball control, the precision of shooting, and looks at his technical skills, but doesn't fully understand that this is not how you win a game. You need to see who else on the team needs help. You need to see where are the openings. You need to communicate when you need help, and you need to collaborate. And this is the only way to win a Champions League or a World Cup. Is the technical skill is an absolute minimum. There's no way around it. You need to be technically absolutely fantastic, but that alone is zero of value, fully zero of value, if you're not able to collaborate very effectively. And think of a World Cup game. And this perspective, people with technical background fully underestimate. So if I would stake with the comparison, what we are having in Germany, the top teams, they would prefer to play with 10 players on the field, despite they need 11. But instead of having a lousy player that is just getting in their way, they'd still prefer to play with 10 players. It still puts them in a better situation than have a player who doesn't understand teamwork, who doesn't understand the rules of the game or the collaboration and so forth. So, and this is a pity, because the openings are there, the frustration is here. And this is why we developed the course to actually help to fill the gap, help to see the blind spots that are there. Why are certain things important, and help people where sometimes it's just a 10% upgrade, or 10% improvement, and it's already enough to get you at the right level.
So you mentioned a course, I think your company has developed. Can you talk a bit more about the course and the areas that it covers?
Sure. Let me even show you the agenda real quick. I think that's easiest. So here we go. Here is the get a job as a software developer, and then most frequent errors, greatest misconceptions on what it takes, because candidates just have, sometimes I say, a Hollywood impression of what Germany is, and it's sometimes quite or TV, whatever TV or media tell, and it can be quite detached from reality of Germany itself. Then we speak of the different dimensions of qualification. As I already said, technical competence, meaning of international experience, communicational differences in performance, and understanding then the job market. Like, what are the versions you actually find or get connected to a job, find and be found? What can you do? And then why are German employers, so rigid with language requirements? I think that sometimes is a frustration at the side of the candidates, thinking, why are they so rigid? And then there's a few ideas for inspiration. Here's a bit like also how to learn a language really fast. This is my favorite. I've learned more than 6 languages, so a bit to share on that. And then a bonus on CV check. You can do this course actually even 2 years before you're really sitting in an airplane, and prepare yourself. Use it to plan out your journey, to map out to what skills you want to invest in. So we will give each person who participates and uploads their CV a detailed roadmap of suggested skills to invest in to really get a very strong profile. So you can take this course actually early in the journey, and then obviously when it gets serious that you're now executing, then there will be also support with local partners also in Pakistan, so that you get the full support that may be needed along the journey.
All right, great. And this CV check, do people have to pay for it, for the assessment?
Well, so there's maybe two things. So there's the CV check is included in the course. Yeah. So to get a feedback on you suggested skill improvements that may just have the best return on investment, let's say. And there's another one, small one, we call it eligibility check, or which you can do before the course, just if somebody is insecure whether with their professional profile they have a chance at all, because the threshold is the blue card. Yeah, and the blue card has a minimum salary, so people need to have the qualification matching that salary. And as I say, the blue card gives you a salary which is even higher than German average. So you need to be above average. And if somebody's not sure whether they are in their field, they can, have a short check even before taking the course.
Yeah, I think that would be, I'm just speculating here, that would be a lot of people's, first choice, that they'll want to be assessed first, and then they would want to know whether if they get a result of them not being eligible, they would want to know more. And for that, I think it would be best for them to take the course. So I think from what you just shared about the overall issues that German companies face, some of the issues related to other non-technical skills that people have, and I think that is something which many other players in the market have also started talking about. I know that I recently looked at a publication from ACCA, the Global Accountancy Qualification, and they also emphasize that technical skills is a core. That's a given. There's no exception for that. But emotional intelligence and then having a vision, thinking about the long-term view is something that you need on top, and some other skills as well in order to be relevant. And I think that is something very similar to what you've just shared. Mm-hmm. What would be your, advice for anybody who is in the IT sector who wants to, come to Germany?
First, really understand that you're playing in the premium segment. Yeah, and just like you don't build a Porsche or a Ferrari just with your little finger. And if you want to get to that quality level, the salaries in Germany are really high. So you can't come with a low salary. You can only come with an above average salary, and you are automatically in the premium area. And that requires premium thinking. And like all premium thinking, it does require the will to invest in your skills, to get better, some discipline, some will to improve, and rigid investment into your permanent improvement. And if that's the mindset, you're going to be very, very, very fine. And it's just understand that you're playing in the premium segment.
I think this is something that has never been shared by any other organization that's been working on immigration, visas. At least in my experience, nobody tells you about thinking on a premium level. You need to have, first of all, you need to have those skills, and when you have those skills, then you demand, then you're above average, and then when you are above average, there are certain prereqs that you need to have when you come to Germany. And then I think if all of these boxes are ticked, you will end up in a very, very better situation, both financially, in terms of your career growth, in terms of exploring an entire country with your ambitions. So that makes sense. So that's something that I think nobody actually talks about. They just simply talk about, just get your foot on, in the door and just get in the country, and then, it's you, and, bye-bye. We have nothing to do with it. So that's something I think that's very, very different from, what others say. So thank you so much, Eleonore, for taking out the time. What I'll encourage everybody, listening to the session do is to reach out to me directly or reach out to Hatch if they have any questions, if they're interested, especially the people in the IT sector. And we'll be looking forward to many, many more sessions in the future.
Appreciate so much, Ali, and thank you for the floor. Thank you for the opportunity. And just let me say, I mean, if you make it, driving a Porsche is really more fun than driving, a cheap car. It is fun. So, and it can be worth going the extra mile.
That's great. Thank you.